Effective project governance can be simple, but we seem to be intent on making it ineffective. More projects fail due to poor project governance and poor project management. Lack of leadership, lack of direction, lack of linkage to strategy, these are all governance issues. Yet, while organisations spend billions on training project managers, little to nothing is spent educating and supporting executives to be effective in their project governance roles. Despite their best endeavours, the resultant ineffectiveness is extremely expensive. This is unnecessary, as we'll explain. Executives appear to approach project governance believing they already know everything, but then, when things go wrong, they don't know what to do. We conducted some research of 110 sponsors and steering committee members, 110, and of those, 101 admitted they did not actually know what their role was. And of the remaining 9, 7 defined it incorrectly. So less than 2% knew what they were doing. Now, most execs are ineffective because they misunderstand project governance. They believe they are there to steer the project, to make decisions for the project team and ensure the delivery costs are managed. This is only partly true. The governance team is really there to steer the project into the business, to make decisions that will maximise the long-term business value and ensure this value is actually realised in the business. You can deliver a project, but unless you get the value from it, you've just wasted your time. The effectiveness of project governance directly impacts on project success. Ineffective project governance leads to project failure or massive loss of value through wrong decisions, delayed decisions, the right decisions at the wrong time, and so on. Effective governance can give you a competitive edge as you can deliver more value for less cost through your project portfolio. Yet few organisations appreciate that effective project governance is critical to their project success and that their continued ineffectiveness is costing them billions. Project governance consists of a wealth of knowledge and know-how that needs to be learned, leveraged and supported to be effective. When executives try to wing it, 50% or more of the potential value can get lost. That's expensive and it's unnecessary. So we'll go through 10 steps to simple, highly effective project governance. Project governance bridges the gap between strategy, the project, and the organisation's results. It is the accountability of the governance team to ensure the project is strategically relevant, it is something we should be doing, it's actually going to move us forward in the direction we want to go, and successfully enables the delivery of the planned strategic results and value. Decisions made on and around the project therefore need to support the strategic value focus. Too often, steering committees and sponsors make decisions that gradually move the project away from its original intent and therefore destroy its strategic value. Project governance is a strategic value role, not a project role. If the project portfolio does not deliver the strategy and value, the governance teams are accountable. They should always make sure that whatever they're working on is still strategically relevant. Now, it's a self-evident truth that you commission projects to deliver the benefits. You don't commission projects just to find something for the project teams to do. And these benefits should be delivered during the project, at implementation, as well as after the end of the project. In other words, benefits and value delivery are a continuous process, not something that happens sometime after the end of the project. That's a myth that should be discarded. The value is realised in the business. The governance team members run the business. Therefore, the governance team is accountable for the continuous delivery of value. It is value delivery, not cost management, that's the primary role of the governance team. But few governance teams recognise this. If at the end of the day the project does not deliver value to the business, then the governance team is accountable. They should always be focused on delivering the value. Now, in relation to the project should be managed by the project manager. The governance team does not therefore need to act as a super project manager, second guessing what the project manager is doing. But, as in any oversight role, the governance team needs to control what is being designed and developed to ensure it will deliver the agreed business and strategic outcomes, benefits and value. You've got to make sure that the project actually enables the results you're trying to achieve. The governance team also needs to control the project to ensure that it is being delivered in the least practical time and in the least practical cost to maximise the business value. Going over time and going over budget destroys the value. Therefore, we need to find out what the least practical time is and aim to achieve the outcomes in that time. The governance team therefore needs to know how to effectively control, not manage, each project to ensure the planned results are delivered. So it's a hands-off. We often describe it as teaching your child to drive. They've got their hands on the steering wheel and their foot on the pedals, but you need to make sure that they're not going too fast, they're in the right lane, that they are taking into account potential hazards. That's what governance is like. In many organisations, a project does not officially exist until after the business case has been approved. Sponsors and steering committees are brought on board at the business case stage, and this is too late. Around 70% of the project costs can be locked in by this stage. Already many of the critical value-determining decisions have been made. Many high-value options can already have been closed off. The governance team needs to be actively involved from the inception of the initiative and know what to do, when, why and how. If appointed too late, they'll always be playing catch-up to rescue the project from any inappropriate pre-business case decisions. As soon as the activities move out of business as usual, a sponsor should be appointed, a sponsor who is going to take accountability for maximising the returns on the effort and costs invested. He or she can then call on a steering committee as they need to actually make sure the results are achieved. When we get to the business case, it should not be viewed as a dash for cash or as just a means of justifying the project in order to get it approved. The business case is really a two-way contract. The sponsor and steering committee commit to deliver the proposed business outcomes, benefits and value. If the business commits to deliver the identified people, funds and support. It's a two-way contract. It's really the master control document of what value is to be delivered and how. And any changes to the project or to the business's commitment are a change to this contract and can change the value that's going to be delivered. The governance team, in effect, exists to deliver the value contracted in the business case. Therefore, it's not just how do we justify these costs, but what are we going to deliver to the business? How are we going to improve the business? That's the thinking that should go into the business case. Now, you then need to track real progress. Most governance team meetings are a waste of time, which will not be news to many of you. And that is because the information presented does not accurately report real progress. Governance teams can be led to believe whatever the project team wants them to believe. Problems can be buried or identified too late for anything to be done about them. And there can be little to no visibility of the true situation. In looking at one project that was 3 months into phase 2, we found that 25% of the work effort was still going into closing off phase 1, which the steering committee thought had been completed months ago. The key thing is to remember that real progress is easily measured by the verified 100% delivery to the quality required of each change activity's output when due. So every month you should have a list of what is due to be 100% delivered this month, and make sure that it has 100% been delivered and it is to the quality required. Compromised quality, 95% completion or non-delivery immediately reveals the project is running late. 100% completion is the only true measure of progress that few governance teams ever see this reported. In talking to project managers, I ask them, do you agree that 100% delivery is the true measure of progress? And they say, absolutely. Do you use it? No. It is up to the governance teams to insist that they see each month what real progress has been made. The project team should identify and manage the project level risks. The effectiveness of the project team's risk management needs to be governed as, unfortunately, poor risk management is too common on too many projects. But in addition, there are factors that either need to exist or to happen for the project to be a success that are outside the control of the project team. These are called critical success factors. These are the true critical success factors. These are the prerequisites to success. These critical success factors need to be identified and allocated to members of the governance team to manage or monitor. Some can be managed, others are outside the control of the organisation and can only be monitored. And the status of these critical success factors should be reported at each governance team meeting. By definition, these factors are critical to the project success. Yet few governance teams ever identify and manage their project's critical success factors, and then they wonder why their project doesn't succeed. So this is critical, and when we run this exercise with governance teams, they are often quite amazed at some of the things that come up that they've never thought about and yet are critical to their project success. A major role of the governance team is to protect the business value to be delivered. Throughout the project, decisions, events, issues will arise that threaten the business value to be delivered. Design decisions can cut off valuable options and long-term opportunities. Project decisions may be made that trade off long-term business costs for short-term project gains. Business decisions can be made outside of the project that impact the potential value of the project. External events can destroy the rationale or even need for the project. Throughout, the governance team needs to know how to actively protect the value of the project, and if it becomes unviable, to stop it. So the key thing is always being vigilant as to whether there still is value, sufficient relevancy on the project to make it worthwhile continuing. And then when the project's finished, the governance team needs to manage the delivery of the post-project benefits. Too often when the project finishes, so does the governance team. Yet this is when its value delivery role becomes most important. Benefits and value should be delivered throughout the project's duration and on its implementation, but there will still be benefits to be realised after the end of the project. Remember, the governance team's primary accountability is the delivery of the business case value. Therefore, the governance team needs to continue to operate until the post-project benefits are either being fully realised and sustained or are on track to be fully realised and sustained. Then the governance team can disband. And the project team needs to be aware of and measure all of the different types of project success. Now, normally project success is measured in terms of efficiency of its delivery. Was it on time, on budget, to specification? But that's only one sort of measure. That's an efficiency measure. The real measure of success for a project is, did it deliver the project outcomes and benefits? Then the business staff measure is, did they actually translate those into business outcomes and benefits? Highly effective project governance teams achieve all of these success measures. Just being on time on budget is not enough, and it's not even a measure of success of the project governance team anyway. It really is that simple. But what happens is that the scope of project governance is not understood. Organisations need to understand the role, the focus on the strategy and value, govern and control each project to enable the delivery of the benefits and ensure these benefits are realised. And these are all the components that we've just gone through in terms of the knowledge and know-how governance teams need. So what goes wrong? Basically, project governance is not understood and therefore not executed effectively by executives. And here are 10 reasons why. The project is a means to an end. It is not an end in itself. The project may be the primary means of delivering the business value and strategic results, but it's already being managed by the project manager. Yet governance teams tend to focus almost exclusively on the project and its perceived success. Business decisions that adversely impact the project are accepted. Future business plans that are relevant to the project are not communicated to the project team, as they're not part of the project brief. Decisions are made on the project that eliminate major ongoing benefits. This is all because the governance team is looking at the project and not at the business value. The governance team needs to lift its focus up from the project to the business and strategic levels to ensure the project enables the delivery of the planned business value and strategic results. Let the project manager worry about on time, on budget. You need to focus on, are we going to get the value? Are we going to actually improve the business as planned from the effort that we're putting in? The project governance teams focus on the costs to the detriment of the value. Now, operational management is used to managing cost budgets, and so governing the project's costs is a natural focus for them. In addition, the project's delivery costs are visible and currently used as a primary measure of success, hence the massive focus on costs. As a result of this cost focus, decisions can be made that reduce project delivery costs at the expense of higher ongoing operational costs. This is ineffective and costly. When focusing on a project, governance teams seem to be totally blinkered and not think about what is this going to do for the business. They are purely trying to bring the project in on budget. To the governance team, cost control is critical because it's a value delivery control. Every dollar spent in excess of the optimum delivery cost is a reduction in the net value of the investment. While the costs do need to be managed, the focus always needs to be on maximising the delivering the ongoing net value. Every decision made in relation to costs needs to be made in a value context. What is this going to do for the delivered value out of this project? Not just what is this going to do for the project budget. The project governance team can end up managing the project. The project manager should be allowed to manage the project provided they're delivering the desired results. Too often the governance team can get sucked in and become part of the problem. When problems occur, the governance team needs to know how to assess the situation, when to call in expert help, and when to stop the project. Billions are wasted each year as project governance teams grapple with problems on failing projects rather than cancelling. It is worth remembering that around 40% of delivered projects leave their organisations worse off. This is a complete waste of time, effort and money, enabled and supported by ineffective project governance. Where I like to position it is rather like sergeant majors in the military if they want a task done. They're often get involved for 5 or 10 minutes, say this is what I want done, and then they pull away and let the people do it. If you do need to sort out a problem on a project, sort it out quickly, and then to go back to the governance role. Sponsors are appointed too late. Many project teams go trawling for a sponsor so as to get their project approved. If a project is looking for a sponsor, this can be a leading indicator of failure, as it is totally inappropriate. Having the wrong or no sponsor is one of the top 3 reasons why projects fail. The appointment of a sponsor is a critical step, and being appointed as a sponsor at the business case stage is too late. Many of the seeds of failure have already been planted. So at inception of any project initiative, a critical question is who's going to take accountability for the success of this project? Because that's what the sponsor is, the person accountable for the success of the project. The project sponsor needs to be present from the inception of the idea. They need to fervently believe and be able to demonstrate at all times that their project is strategically relevant, worthwhile, and deliverable. Business cases are seen as a means to an end rather than a definition of the end. A project that's not worthwhile is not worth doing. Fudging the figures to get the project approved is a dereliction of duty and generates waste. Beating the system or the hurdle rate is not the objective. Defining the specific business outcomes, benefits and value to be delivered and the resources required to be successful is the objective. The governance team needs to make a case for its proposed investment. If this case does not stack up, the project should not proceed. Sponsors and their teams need to understand the true role of the business cases, both as a delivery contract and defining the measures of their success. They should therefore cull poor business cases, but unfortunately rarely do. Data is confused for useful information. I'm sure many of you have seen steering committee reporting packs that are 20, 30, 40 or even more pages long. Lots of charts, data, graphs, it all looks often very pretty, but is not providing useful information. Gantt charts can be used to portray progress when they don't. Risk registers can be used to disguise ineffective risk management. Benefit registers can be created that lose touch with what is actually being delivered. Changes are made on the project, but not in the benefit registers. And few governance teams know if they're making real progress to schedule, the project still relevant, viable and deliverable, or what action needs to be taken, when, why and how. This requires information that's too often missing from steering committee packs. The steering committee packs are there to tell a story. You need to make sure you know what information you need and look for it to make sure that you are actually receiving the information to effectively govern. Projects are allowed to fail on one or more dimensions. All of the major project failures of the past 30 years have been overseen by otherwise competent executives who did not know what to do in the face of a failing project. Lack of knowledge is never a valid excuse, while lack of action can be fatal for a project. Relying on project risk management to mitigate all of the risks to the project's success is a recipe for failure. The governance team needs to be aware of the other forms of threat, for example, the critical success factors, the leading indicators of failure. These need to be identified, monitored and managed by the governance team to make sure that the investment is going to return the value promised in the business case. That's the thinking that should run through every steering committee meeting. Project teams are let off too easily. The project fraternity will tell you that they are not accountable for the delivery of benefits. They will therefore try to position their measures of success as the iron triangle, on time, on budget, to specification. This is just inadequate. The project team should, in conjunction with the business, be accountable for delivering a set of project outcomes defined as a subset of the desired business outcomes, plus the immediately available benefits and value. Nothing less. This focuses projects onto the benefits realization and gets their mind in the benefit space. Projects need to be measured in terms of how effectively they deliver their output outcomes, benefits and value, not by just how efficiently they manage their inputs of time, cost and specification. We need to shift their focus to being concerned about what they're delivering, not the parameters within which they're delivering. Governance teams are let off too easily. Governance teams tend to finish when the project finishes, but, as we said earlier, the project is not the main focus of the governance team. Delivery of the business value is the main focus. When the governance team disbands, most if not all focus on the benefits and value dissipates. Much of the post-project value is missed, lost or destroyed. The governance team's accountabilities continue on after the end of the project, sometimes for a year or so. The end point for the governance team is when all of the desired business outcomes are measured as delivered, together with their associated business benefits and total available financial values being banked. Now, that may be too long, so you may say, right, have all the outcomes been achieved and are all the benefits being achieved? While the governance team may meet less frequently, the sponsor should ensure it continues to focus on fully realising the business benefits and value until that can be handed over to business as usual. Without this focus, often over 50% of the available value will be missed, lost or destroyed. Over 50% missed, lost or destroyed. And the orthodox success measures let everyone off too easily. People manage what is measured. If you use the wrong success measures, you will get the wrong aspects being managed or being managed in the wrong way. The orthodox project success measures are on time, on budget to specification. These do not focus the project on the targeted business value and results. Decisions are therefore made on the project that can destroy this business value. The myopic focus on cost rather than value is a good illustration of what happens when you measure the wrong measures. Also, many orthodox delivery methods are designed to avoid failure rather than ensure success. Avoiding failure is a very different mindset and set of actions to ensuring success. Success is a combination of the project delivery measures, the business usage measures, the governance value delivery measures. And these measures can be easily tracked and measured. Project governance must be seen about delivering success, not avoiding failure or overruns. Key thing is that project governance is significantly different to operational management. In operational management, executives operate in a world of known goals, repeatable processes, risks have mostly been designed out, and there are cost budgets. Projects operate in a world of unknown goals. They have to be defined up front. Non-repeatable process subject to internal and external threats and risks, and business benefits and value to be realised net of the cost of delivery. Therefore, project governance teams are operating in a significantly different world to the world that they're used to operating in. Bringing operational skills to projects does not work. I've sat in many a steering committee to see, in good faith, executives making decisions that would make sense in an operational environment that is destroying the project's value in the project environment. Governance teams therefore need to understand that project governance is a unique set of knowledge and know-how that needs to be learned and supported. They also need to understand that poor, ineffective and uninformed project governance is very, very expensive. Project governance needs to be learned, applied and supported to be highly effective. And this can be easily achieved through subscribing sponsors and steering committees to the top Project Governance Centre of Expertise. The Centre of Expertise equips executives to easily understand the importance of project governance and its impact on projects, the difference of project governance versus operational management, understand each of the governance role, know what to do when, why and how, educate executives on how to be effective, and measure each project governance role's performance. And this centre of expertise is available online in the cloud. You can access it anywhere at any time, including during steering committee meetings. Knowing what to do, when, why and how is critical. This is the scope of the centre of expertise. How to be a sponsor, how to be a steering committee member, how to run effective meetings, what to do during the pre-business case, business case and value delivery stage, and the bonus materials that help explain other aspects of project delivery and governance. And if you're accountable for installing project governance in your organisation, how to establish governance in an organisation. The most comprehensive materials available to sponsors and steering committees. All you need to do is subscribe and learn. It really is that simple.